All right, let's talk about the World Cup. In 2026, the biggest sporting event on the planet is getting, well, even bigger. And this has sparked a massive debate. Is this a brilliant new chapter for global football, or is it a move that threatens the very soul of the tournament we all love? We're going to break down both sides of the story. So, first things first, 48 teams. That's the new magic number. I mean, this is the first time the tournament has expanded since 1998, and it's a big one. We're talking a 50% jump in the number of countries fighting for that trophy. This is going to completely change the landscape of the competition. And you know what more teams means? Right? More games. A lot more games. The total number of matches is just skyrocketing from the 64 we're all used to, all the way up to 104. That is a massive increase in the amount of football we're all going to be watching. And what's driving all this? Well, you can probably guess. A staggering amount of money. FIFA is projecting this new format will rake in a record-shattering $11 billion in revenue. Just, wow, it completely blows previous tournaments out of the water. So yeah, this isn't just a simple expansion. It's a total reimagining of the FIFA World Cup. And for the first time ever, it's being co-hosted by 3 nations, the USA, Canada, and Mexico, making it this huge continent-wide spectacle. Okay, so how is this all actually going to work with 48 teams? Well, the group stage is now going to have 12 groups of 4. But here's the twist. It's not just the top 2 from each group that advance. The 8 best third-place teams also get to move on. This creates a brand new round of 32, which means to win the whole thing, a team has to survive 8 intense matches, one more than ever before. Now, if you ask FIFA, this isn't about greed. They'll tell you they're creating a masterpiece of inclusivity. The whole argument is that this new format finally makes the beautiful game a truly, truly global event. And you can really see the core of their argument right here in the numbers. I mean, just look at this. Asia's qualification spots nearly double, going from about 4.5 to 8. Africa jumps from 5 to 9 guaranteed places. And for the very first time in history, a team from Oceania is guaranteed a spot. This is exactly what they mean by a more inclusive World Cup. And this is the human story behind those statistics. We're guaranteed to see new nations make their debut on the world's biggest stage. It means we get these incredible fairy tale stories for smaller footballing nations, and we see the powerful return of teams that have been gone for decades. This quote from Haitian footballer Jean Wisner really gets to the heart of what FIFA is trying to say. For countries facing incredible challenges, just qualifying can be this huge moment of pride and unity that goes way beyond sports. This is the dream that FIFA is selling. And to really sell this vision of a global masterpiece, the whole tournament launch was a major production. The draw was this big star-studded event, and FIFA even used it to hand out its first ever Peace Prize, trying to frame the entire tournament as this force for global unity. And yeah, of course, there's the money. That $11 billion is mostly coming from TV rights and marketing. Now, FIFA promises this will lead to unprecedented reinvestment in the sport, with a record $727 million going back to the participating countries to help them grow the game back home. But there is another side to this story. A very loud and growing group of critics sees this XXL World Cup not as a masterpiece, but as a potential disaster, one driven by greed that threatens the integrity of the whole tournament. And this slide really puts the scale of it all into perspective. More teams, 40 extra matches, a tournament spread across an entire continent, and an extra high-stakes knockout game for the finalists. It's a logistical beast unlike anything we've ever seen before. Which brings us to a huge, huge point of criticism: player welfare. The Global Players Union is basically sounding the alarm, and this chart shows you the problem perfectly. The tournament is longer, but the official prep time for players has been slashed from 23 days down to just 16. So less rest for a more grueling competition. You can see why people are saying these players are being pushed to their absolute limits. This quote from a Football 365 writer really sums up how a lot of critics feel. It's blunt, but it captures that feeling that this was a business decision that just completely ignores the consequences for the sport itself. So the arguments against it are pretty clear. People are worried about a diluted group stage with boring, lopsided games. They point to the massive environmental footprint of flying teams all over a continent, and there's a real fear that crazy high ticket prices will push out the passionate, everyday fans who really create the atmosphere. So, with this huge debate going on, the fact is, this new World Cup is happening. So, let's put the arguments aside for a minute and just walk through what the tournament will actually look like for us, the fans. Here it is, the new Road to Glory. It starts with a massive group stage with 12 groups. Then comes the big change, that brand new high-stakes round of 32, where the knockout drama is going to start earlier than ever. If you survive that, it's the familiar winner-go-home path through the round of 16, quarterfinals, semis, and finally, the final itself. So go ahead and mark your calendars. The whole thing kicks off on June 11th at the legendary Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. The knockout stages begin with that new round of 32 on June 28th, and it all culminates in the final on July 19th in New Jersey. And this is no surprise, right? Some tickets are going to be way harder to get than others. The opening match, any game with one of the three host nations, and of course, the final. They're going to be the hottest tickets on the planet, for sure. So we're left with these two completely opposite ways of looking at this tournament. Is it a bold step into a more inclusive future for football? Or is it a commercial overreach that actually hurts the game? And it really boils down to this. The Masterpiece side sees a more global, more inclusive game that's funded by revenue that helps grow football everywhere. The Disaster side sees diluted quality, exhausted players, and a tournament where profit is clearly the #1 priority, not the purity of the sport. So the stage is set for the biggest, most ambitious World Cup in the history of the sport. We have the facts, we have the figures, and we have the arguments from both sides. Now, the only question that's really left is whether this grand experiment will actually be good for the beautiful game.